Hey, thanks for coming by, Tori Magoo 44. Today is the 20th of April 2013. And I'm continuing on with my series of how I got into Scientology and the different things that happened. And I've now gotten there, read a book, joined the Sea Org. They kicked me out because I take medicine for epilepsy. And they said, back then, we don't take medicine. And put me on this long program that was awful. My mother helped me get off the medicine. I joined staff at Celebrity Center and AOLA, which is the advanced org, as a non-Sea Org member, auditing in the HGC. All right, so I got trained as an auditor and then continued on auditing, got pregnant, had my son with my husband, got married, got pregnant, had my son, our son, and then, enjoyed being a mother for quite a while. Then I got onto OT3. Now, before you get onto the OT levels, you've heard of sec checks a lot. But the sec check's really in the lower part of the bridge. Think of it as a triangle, Scientology. And it's kind of like sec checks don't start until the top upper bridge. Really, I would say clear and above. Below that you're not really getting into sec checking. But above it, you are. And before you get onto an OT level, they definitely sec check you. And sec checking stands for security checking. And it isn't really auditing. And they say that. I'm a trained security checker. I only got trained in it so that I could co-audit, which means I audit you, you audit me, that kind of a thing. We switch around. The next thing, which was called FPRD, which is false purpose rundown. And in order to do that, you had to be a sec checker. So I got trained as a sec checker, but at least I learned a little bit about it. And there's good sec checking and there's awful sec checking. And in Scientology, there's a lot of awful sec checking, which is more like interrogation than what it should be, which is a confessional, like with a priest or a minister. But it isn't like that. It's very much, I'm going to do it with Mr. Anonymous. So Mr. Anonymous is going to be the sec checker, and I'm going to be the person getting sec checked. All right? Okay, so we're just going to go back and forth. All right, so first of all, Mr. Anonymous would say to me, I'm not auditing you. Okay, I got that. And this is the session. All right, I got it. Okay, so what are we going to do today? Well, I have some questions to ask you. First of all, are you in touch with any suppressive people? Me? No, not at all. Doesn't say that on the meter. I see a read here. Something's happening. Something's fishy. Look. Look and see if there's something. Really, there isn't. I haven't been in touch with suppressives at all. I'm not. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm looking at the meter. There's still some kind of a read there. There's something happening. Look. Take a look. All right. I'll look again. I'm looking, but honestly, I'm not lying to you. I'm not in touch with a suppressive person. I'm not. Well, okay. I'm talking to my mother, and per Scientology, she's been, they consider she's suppressive. So, okay, I'm in touch with her. Thank you very much. You're welcome. So when were you in touch with your mother? And then it would be like, when, where, how, what did she say, blah, blah, blah. And they're writing all this down. They're writing down everything, right? So then these are some of the other questions. I'll set you down for a minute. Thank you, Mr. Anonymous. These are some other questions. I'll just look at you and show you, Have you stolen any of the OT materials? Have you talked to the FBI? Have you talked to the media? Have you had sex with a staff member that's a Sea Org member? Have you had, have you embezzled money from the Church of Scientology? I mean, they're just these unbelievable questions. This is on OT7. We're like at the top, next to the top of the bridge to total freedom. And they are grilling us over and over every 6 months about, did you talk to a suppressive person? Have you stolen this? Have you had this? Have you, just these unbelievable things that never even entered my mind. You know what I mean? And that it's just unreal. And I used to tell them that. I'd say, you are treating us like we're absolute criminals. And we are supposed to be the top people in Scientology. And yet you're treating us like we're, the worst criminals in the world. It was very, very weird. So then if you do, which you have to, you finally end up giving up something. They've written it down. They send a letter to ethics, and then you have to go to ethics and sit down with them and work out what condition you're in for doing whatever it is that you said in your sec check. It's awful. It's an awful, awful, abusive, horrific scene. And right now, I've sat next to Bill Yachty when he's read David Mayo, when they had their group, they left Scientology years ago, and people were laughing, saying, thank God we don't have to do those stupid sec checks. And Yachty and his gang were like, oh boy, they've really got things that are missed with holes. That proves it, right? That's what they think. And Yachty, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. And I'm happy to say it. I can say it. I'm on the other side. I'm over here with all the people that left, which is the vast majority of the Church of Scientology now has left the Church of Scientology. Why? Because of the abusive, creepy things that your church, which is so far from a church, it's really a mafia-like organization / business, because it's definitely a business. You have to pay for every single level, all the way up. And it is. And anybody out there, and that includes you, Kirsty, because I just read you saying that in John Sweeney's book, saying, oh, no, there's lots of free things in Scientology. There's not a free thing in Scientology. Maybe one free seminar. That's it. They're constantly milking people for money. And it's abusive. It's offensive. And it really is not okay. And that's why a lot of people leave. It's way too expensive. They're constantly doing these nasty things, breaking up families, stopping free speech. The higher up you get, the less freedoms you have. It's very ironic because you're supposed to be on the bridge to total freedom. But the higher up you get, the more sec checking you get, the more grilling you get, the less freedoms you have, the more, did you read anything? If it read on the meter, and remember, every time something reads, ka-ching, we're paying for it. The person that's getting sec checked is paying for it, right? And it's very expensive on OT7. I think when I was on it, it was $7,000 for 12 and a half hours of auditing or sec checking, either one. $7,000. That's a lot of money, every 6 months. And it isn't, sometimes it's not just one intensive. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3 or 4. And too bad. You just got to do it. So it's awful. And that is what it is. And I hope that it kind of clears it up a little bit, because I know a lot of people think everyone's getting sec checked, and that isn't really the case. It's really the higher part of the pyramid. When you're getting into the OT levels is where they really start pounding it, at least when I was doing it. They may have changed. David Miscavige has definitely flipped, and I hope somehow you see this, David Miscavige, because you have done a fantastic job. That's all I can say. You and Tom Cruise, I've done the best to help show what we, the critics and ex-Scientologists, Anonymous, and the independents, any Scientologists who are out, what we tell the media, you guys prove on a daily basis. Thank you for that. And Tommy boy, I've told you before, you are a fabulous example of what somebody becomes when they become a Scientologist. So for everyone who's exposing this, I thank you very much and have a wonderful time. Peace out.